Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I brought you a present.
What's that?
I brought you a present. It's going to be your birthday soon.
This always scares me.
So I brought this for you. I saw it, and now be careful. Careful, it's I'll help you, like I usually do. Careful, it's fragile.
So would this be you, me, and Paul?
I was thinking, what is my name shortened?
It was $3.99.
At the Goodwill store. Now, what's my name when you shorten it?
Idiot.
The correct answer is Joy.
Joy.
What's your name when you shorten it?
Ma.
What's Paul's name when you shorten it?
Pa.
What's Wally's name when you shorten it?
Wa.
This is Ma and Pa and Wa. There you
That's
go.
great. I'll put it on my desk at home.
What do you think of when you see it?
I think it's interesting. Doesn't surprise me at all.
It's really, I thought it was really nice.
That is very nice. Along
So-
with my, for
Yep.
those who are on Facebook, I want you to know this is not mine. She brought it. I have to wear a prop.
Very exciting.
Right, right.
And
So-
these are the gifts that they brought for me. This is Queen Duck from England. And this is Papa.
It would be Pope Francis from the Vatican.
Papa shows up in a lot of videos. Do you think this is a good idea? No. So, oops. Okay.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well, you should, age before beauty.
Well, since it's about friendship, I think we should give a little bit of a history about us,
Okay.
right? So our friendship goes back decades. Joyce's father worked for Wyoming County Bank when I was working for Harris Wilcox a million years ago. And he was sort of my mentor in business and finance. And I worked with him for many, many years before I knew Joyce. I visited their farm.
Before I was born, because Mark's a lot older than I am.
But I visited their farm and knew the Wagner family very well. And at one point in time, John then mentioned that his daughter was buying or wanted to buy a house in the Rochester area. She went to Roberts. She ended up working at Roberts. She became acquainted with my wife. My wife felt sorry for her. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Ruth feels sorry for a lot of people. She takes different people under her wing.
So anyways, our relationship has evolved over those years, and one of the points that I wanted to make tonight, in regards to lasting relationships, obviously, is that they take time, they evolve, and because we haven't always acted this way toward one another. We used to be nice to one another, and but over time, we have developed this little banter that we go back and forth quite a bit on. But they take time, right?
Yeah. I would say our relationship has devolved.
Devolved at times. Yeah.
Yep. Hold on. I took some notes.
I did too.
Oh, see? Here's the age difference right here. Sanskrit. Okay, this is what I would say the history has been. Me and Mark. All right. I said Ruth and Mark have always been a part of my life because particularly Mark is older than I am. I said I have early memories of him as an auctioneer, as a banker, and then he was gone. And then he came back into my life after I started working at Roberts, and you said that. We served on 2 boards together.
That's right.
We'd often call each other after meetings. So then I said I watched you and Ruth finish raising their kids when they were getting dating, engagement, marriage, babies, and then being grandparents.
Right.
And then I watched he and Ruth built onto their house. And then I watched them take care of Ruth's mom. then her brother Lance, and now your parents.
Right.
So I said, we've traveled together, watched countless fireworks, cried and laughed together, eaten s'mores and venison
Yes.
together. We have celebrated nearly every major holiday and milestone event, graduation, dedications, picnics, funerals, weddings, showers, birthdays, rodeos, and art shows.
Right.
And I said somewhere, because of all that, the line blurs of friendship and the relationship evolves into like a family,
Right.
a family thing.
Right. In many ways, Joyce is more family than some of my extended family because we spend so much time together.
But I don't have to look like him.
So you know that I like quotes, right?
Yeah.
And I use quotes quite frequently with my photography work. And so here's a quote that I found about friendship.
Okay.
And this is serious.
Okay.
Okay. So it said, a friend is one with whom you're comfortable. I think we're pretty comfortable with one another. To whom you are loyal. I think we're fairly loyal to one another.
Well,
Through whom you are blessed. And for whom you are grateful. You're not going to cry on me, are you?
nope. I might pass out.
No.
But no, that's good. Who wrote it? Who was it?
William Arthur Ward.
Oh, nice.
And I thought it was very appropriate for what we were talking about tonight. And some of the points that I wanted to get across in regards to lasting friendship. Because I think that those things that he's talking about in that quote take time to develop. It's not as though somebody walks through a front door and you become a lasting friend. It takes time to develop. And so, yeah, I wrote down some things. I want you and I want your opinion on them. So
Okay.
this is what I think about lasting friendship.
Okay. Okay.
1, it takes time. 2, it evolves into respect
Yep.
because respect is earned over time,
That's right. Yep.
right? It requires trust,
And that takes time too.
right?
Yep.
It strengthens by using boundaries.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we are known for is our Facebook banter. I don't know if any of you have
Been privileged.
watched that. Lucas has some posts that he's going to put on the board. And
You'll see the respect in these books.
Yes.
Mutual respect.
But even in our banter on Facebook, we have boundaries that we don't cross, and it's out of respect for one another, and also out of respect for others,
Yeah,
like my
right.
wife.
It would hurt. Yeah.
Right. So our relationship is an approved relationship with Ruth. Ruth is not threatened by this friendship that we have. And I think that if you were to go back and scroll through our Facebook banter, we don't make, there are no innuendos in any of our banter. It is just clean sarcasm with one another, right?
just plain old sarcasm, disrespect, and mocking.
Right. Right. But those are pretty good boundaries. I mean, because we don't waver off of that and get into some dark areas, which is very easy on Facebook, right? So that was the
Boundary?
other, like political views.
Yep.
So that was the other one. It's strengthened by boundaries.
Yep.
And it's not because we're alike, because we aren't alike, right?
Can you hear me, Facebook?
But it is strengthened because we have similar values, right? So our belief in God, in our relationship with God, and we have talked at length about that over the years. Our strong family ties, as I mentioned earlier, Joyce is like part of our family now, and that has evolved over time. My kids refer to her as Aunt Joyce, right? And she is at all holidays and birthday events with us. We have similar friends. In fact, a lot of our friends overlap,
Yep. Absolutely.
right? And I think loyalty, I mentioned that earlier, is one of the big components of our friendship, right?
Yep.
So
No, I agree. I will. So in my spare time, when I'm not making silly remarks on Facebook, I'm a counselor. So I put down. These are a couple things that I found. Friendship is a relationship of mutual affection between people. Okay? And then I looked up, just so you guys know, friendship in adulthood, it increases, so it's super important. I think that's one of the reasons Gloria wants us to do this, is it increases companionship, affection, emotional support, physical health, self-esteem, your overall health, longevity, you live longer, happiness, psychological well-being, a sense of belonging and purpose. And actually, the stronger your friendships are, the healthier your lifestyle is. They've just found that. So they call it a behavioral vaccine that boosts physical and mental health. It also reduces stress, recovery time for health issues, the risk of cancer. So having good friends makes it so you have less risk of cancer. It helps with the effects of trauma. It decreases anxiety, depression, blood pressure, diabetes, and fat. I need more friends. So
That's a boundary I don't cross.
that's Ruth's training.
Yeah.
So, and then it said friendships are particularly important as we age. They can become more important than family.
Right.
If you think about it, and particularly older people. So these were the traits that I found, and they overlap with what you just said. So first of all, there's kind of this trifecta, the traits of integrity. So, and I will say of Mark, and think that he has a lot of integrity. So, in order to have friends, really, really close friends, you have to feel that the person is trustworthy, and you just said that, honest, dependable, loyal, and authentic. And I actually think Mark is all those things. So
you want to tell them the story about the car in the snow?
Go ahead. You can tell them. I knew you'd bring it up.
Well, it's better when you tell it.
Well, but I tell the truthful version. You tell this exaggerated version.
I don't think so.
Here's the story. I was driving my car one day, and it was snowy, and I slid a little bit off the road into a little bit of snow. It was chilly, and Mark came and got me. That
is a lie.
And he had said, Joyce, if you ever go off the road, please call me, and I'll come get you wherever you are.
And I did.
And he did. So when the other people came by and said, do you need help, ma'am? I said, no, my friend's on the way. So I shoot off like a half a dozen people waiting for my friend Mark.
So here's the rest of this. So Joyce was on her way down to Wyoming, I think it was, or Cuba.
Warsaw, I think.
Warsaw.
One of those.
And she was going down Route 19, and it was a terrible snowstorm. She had been at our house, and she was heading out, and I said, if you have any troubles, give me a call. And I was sincere about it, because I was concerned about her, like a loyal friend should be. About 10 minutes later, I get a phone call from her, and she says, I'm just south of Leroy, and I'm off the road just a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit. And I said, okay, I'll be on my way. I have my truck. I'm going to come over and get you. And I get over to where she's at, and she's not off the road just a little bit. She's off the road probably 50, 60 feet off the road. In the corn? In a ditch.
In a field. And I couldn't tell how far off the road I was because I couldn't get the door open. Because
the snow was this deep, and she was buried her car was buried. Couldn't see the tires, right?
I was inside. I myself had just gotten some food at McDonald's. It was Christmas time.
So I get there. It is blowing. It is bitter cold outside.
He had this ridiculous outfit on.
I had my hunting gear on.
Ridiculous. He looked ridiculous.
That was warm.
Looked like a onesie.
And shovels. And I came over to the car, snow up to here on me, started shoveling out, and she was playing with the up and down of the windows. You go, bzzz, you okay out there? Bzzz, bzzz. And she was playing Christmas carols the whole time. And occasionally the window would go down while I was underneath the car trying to find a hooking point. And she would be singing Christmas carols to me, and plenty warm inside the car while I froze. Eventually got her car out of the ditch.
Yep. He had to get help because he's a wimp.
No. But we ended up getting her car out of the ditch, and she is forever indebted to me now. So, right? But that's what loyal friends do.
Once upon a time.
No. So
Okay. So yeah, whatever. He likes to tell that story. It was a gift that he got to come and help me. So I wouldn't call just anybody.
right.
So it's a gift.
It was something.
All right. So here's the next one.
Okay.
The traits of caring:
Yes.
empathy, non-judgmental, a good listener, supportive, and kind.
Okay.
So I will actually say, I don't try to put this on social media because I don't want it written down anywhere, but Mark is actually one of my favorites. Oh, good. Mark is one of my favorite top 10 people of all time. He really is. And so when I have something, I actually do consider him wise, even though I tell him that he's a moron all the time. You know, and on Facebook, he actually is wise. So when I have issues, and I've got issues.
A lot.
Then I call up Mark, and Mark gives me wisdom. And I think Mark, and I actually tell clients to do that. Behind the scenes, you know, not in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes, I'll say, you know, I know these very wise men. I need you to go, particularly male clients. I'm like, I need you to go, and I need you to talk to one of them and get their opinion. And Mark, you know, I'll hear later, went for coffee with Mark Logan, went and had dinner at North Chi Family Restaurant with Mark Logan, so.
And there have been circumstances, too. We had an event a few years ago when my daughter was in high school, and an individual that she was close to made a suicide threatening comment. And we didn't know quite what to do with it. And we called Joyce. Joyce came out right away, walked us through the whole process. We got in contact with the parents and work through it. And I think that, you know, the friendship, the person that you're friends with is also a resource. They're a complement to you. And they sort of fill some of the voids that you have in your own life. It's not something that I'm expert at, but she has come through on numerous occasions, and I've sent many people you know, that have had issues or problems to her as a professional counselor too, because I do think that, you know, and this is going on Facebook, right?
This is
so this is just going to
Yeah, right, that does not mean. That, you can assume they've got issues. If they're going to go, you can assume that. But they may or may not be a client.
Right. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we do love each other, and I think it comes through. And periodically, even on our Facebook posts, we do show appreciation for one another. One of the, Joyce has been a great encouragement to me over the years. Those of you who know me know that I do an awful lot of photography work, but I've never had a whole lot of confidence in myself as far as the photography work goes. And several years ago, she encouraged me repeatedly to stop. Repeatedly to do something with the pictures. And I entered a contest and ended up in a magazine with a, this is going to sound awkward, but a centerfold. And
of leaves.
And it was largely due to Joyce's encouragement that I did that. And our relationship has, you know, blossomed as her. She is a strong encourager. She's very generous. She is, yeah. So.
All right, enough with that. Enough with the love, with the love fest. People would call it a love fest.
You can tell who the bigger person is here, can't you?
Who the taller person is. All right, so then the last one is traits of congeniality. I thought this one was good.
Okay.
This one, all right. So in order to you have to have somebody at the same level, self-confidence, mutual understanding. The person has to really understand you at some point. You have to see the humor in a situation. I thought that was a good one.
Yep.
You have to be fun to be around. And you have to enjoy one another's company.
Yep.
So yeah.
That's good.
That is a good one. So what I would say is, I mean, you had your things. I would say
I had my thing.
your
Oh, my list.
yeah, your
I
one.
thought you were talking
boundaries.
about my quirks.
Yeah, you got those. So, but what goes on behind the scenes fosters what's in front of the, you know, without that, it would just be very flat.
Right.
So, all right, I do have, and then I just got one other thing. So when I was thinking about Mark, these are some things I wrote down. So in all honesty, he's one of my favorite people on the planet. So as a father, I actually use Ruth and Mark as examples all the time of good parenting and what a gift it can be for children. Because I mean, Tyler and Elise have it so good. So many people do not have that kind of upbringing, and you see how far ahead they are because of all that. So, what a gift it can be for children. So as a husband, Mark is, I believe Mark's a very good husband. Ruth thinks he's a very good husband. So he's always doing little but important things for Ruth. You know, I was thinking about the breakfast tray and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If he complains about it, you know, she has him do stuff. I don't see it. And here's a favorite memory of mine. The night that Ruth's mom passed away in their home, Mark, it was just really, really interesting to see how Mark remained really, really calm. But he was present, and he didn't, like, you know, Mark never gets too riled up about too much and stuff like that. So he just kept it really calm and comforted Ruth. Mm-hmm. So then I put, I'm sure he isn't perfect. I'm sure he isn't perfect. I know he isn't perfect. So, all right, as a son, so right now his parents are living with him. You guys know that. He has a great deal of respect for his mother and his father, you know, just behind the scenes, just the little things that he does, and you've got a servant heart. As a grandpa, I said you were over the top. 10,000 pictures of the kid. And I think there's two types of people. There's people that hoard, and there's people that give it away. Mark and Ruth, they just give it away. And you're just very generous, time, money, everything like that. All right, so as a coach, you guys might not know that Mark is a coach because he doesn't look very athletic. So, but this is another one of my favorite memories. I think it was your 75th birthday. There were several young men that you had coached came to a party that Ruth gave you, and this one young man gave you salt and pepper shakers because of your hair. Yes. That was back when Mark had more hair, and some of it was dark. now it would just be a salt shaker. Salt shaker. It'd be just a salt shaker. But anyways, he gave a tribute, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. So Mark just behind the scenes just mentors all these guys. I think that's cool. So as a worker, I said Mark can't hold a job. He's been an auctioneer, a banker, a wedding photographer, a realtor, and from what I can tell, because he's always got cookies and cards from all these ladies. The ladies in the church, I love it when something happens on Facebook and the people like, oh, poor Mark, give me a break. But anyway, so I said you're beloved by those that you work with, and you're a servant leader. You're humble. I do think that you're uber confident in a quiet way, not in a showy way. You don't get rattled, you're steady and calm, and people lean on you. So I said, as a Christian, you were faithful, loyal, humble, and loving. And then I put the part about the wisdom, blah, blah, blah. So I said in the end, I found this. I think that what we have is platonic love. So, which goes back to Plato. Mm-hmm. So it's provision of advice, encouragement, comfort, and compassion. That's the definition of platonic love. So that's what we do back and forth, and even with the stuff on Facebook.
Right.
You know, I think that we give something.
Platonic love.
Platonic, it's love. So that's what I got. That's what I had.
Thank you. Those are kind words.
It hurt me. It hurt me. It hurt me. I had a stabbing pain, but I persevered and wrote them anyways.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
Any questions?
So we heard that marriage is kind of ebb and flow, and sometimes it's a roller coaster. You grow closer, you move apart, and then you grow even more. And I'm wondering if friendships that go over decades, do they do the same thing? Is it about a steady growth? Or there been times when you guys haven't really talked in a while?
I would say one of the things I was thinking if Mark and I ever had a real argument. We've never had a real argument. There's never that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't know if there's ever been a real the break when I was like a teenager to 30. I didn't see him.
Yeah. I don't think since we've been adults. I don't know that there's been I don't know that there's been an ebb and flow to it, because I think there's, through all the seasons that we've gone through, there has been there's been a need for that kind of relationship, that friendship. And it's not just with me and our family. Joyce is very close to my wife. She's very supportive of my wife. My wife was in the hospital, a little while ago. Joyce was there every day, caring for my wife while she was in the hospital.
I was worried what Mark would do.
Yeah. And same thing with my kids. I told you they call her Aunt Joyce if they have questions or concerns. She is a listening ear and a wise advisor. And so I don't think that there has been an ebb and flow, but we will go, seeing each other face to face, we'll go, weeks at a time and not see each other face to face. But we keep touch by Facebook quite frequently, and also texting back and forth and calling, as needs arise. But it's not.
No, I think that that's actually really what I found when I was reading about friendship is, especially adult friendship, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. I don't think that there.
Right.
I do think that there's all different kinds of friends, but yep, I don't think
Right.
there's been an ebb and flow either.
Right. There, a long time ago, someone told me that if you had 5 really close friends, that you were a rich person. And he said a really close friend is somebody that you could call in the middle of the night, and beyond the shadow of a doubt that they would come and care for you in whatever capacity that you need. So everybody in my life is not a close friend like Joyce is. And she would, regardless of what she'll tell you right now, she would come if I called in the middle of the night, and has. Actually has. So, and I think that's going back to one of the first things that I said out of the chute, is I believe that a lasting friendship is something that evolves over time. It develops, and you set down those roots with one another in that friendship, and it's based on that trust. It's based on that loyalty. It's based on the generosity, the integrity. That you develop over the time. So I don't think that there's been an ebb and flow at all.
I was wondering
Yes.
if I needed a kidney.
Yeah, you can have one. I'll find somebody.
You're such a jerk.
A cadaver.
It's not cold.
Yeah.
It's not warm.
Yeah.
It's. That's nice. That's sweet.
Yeah. That's a good question, though, because I think that's.
A couple things. Is it fair to say what is important to you then becomes important for each other? So it's important. And what's going on in your life is important. Something I was thinking about Bible study, a women's Bible study. This week it was on friendships and connections. And there's a handful of us that are our age, and the rest are young moms. With this space and little kids. And so what was interesting, it was the comments that they miss having their superficial friends right now. Right. And I think it depends on what season of life. Because they're like, we don't have time. It's very quick. We don't have time to keep up. We can on Facebook, but there's a responsibility to that. And it just added one more thing on the list to do. And you can tell they're longing for that.
I think that's a really deep friendship you got to work at, too, right? And, boy, we're going to have to burn this footage afterwards because I don't want this to stay on Facebook too long. But
I could get rid of it.
Joyce worked very hard on that. The last, I'm going to say the last 12 weeks of our life have been very, very difficult because of, difficulties caring for elderly parents in our house. And Joyce has been very faithful. Cards, just show up. Nobody does cards anymore. Joyce does cards very well. And they're not
Then I don't have to
generic
talk.
cards. They're thoughtful cards, and they'll show up just at the right time in the mail. And so she works very, very hard at it. I work very hard at it, just tolerating her. But you know, she's pretty good.
I'm a gift.
You are.
I'm a gift. I'm a gift. I do think that's sad though, you know, and I do think that people are busy, but you know, it's the relationships. At the end of the day, I think that we're put on the earth to love God and then love others. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the generation below, how they manage all that. But
Yeah.
that's what brings you happiness and
Right.
and everything. And the contentment and the longevity, I think, is really having a real sincere friendship with people. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So, but it makes me sad, because I think that connection is really, but they'll find their own way. They'll find their own way through it. But yeah, I'm glad that, I can do it the old-fashioned way.
As a counselor, and you say with all of this technology that's supposed to connect us all, and this is a time when people are so hungry for those.
I think it's 80 miles of 1 inch deep versus, going, 1 inch thick versus going deep. So but it'll be interesting to see how they'll make their own, because I think it's in us that we need it, and so they'll find their way. But it makes, I don't know. And then just as a society, we're just so busy, and so you got to have time. You got to invest the time,
Right.
What would you say?
You got to make it a priority, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
And what else is there
And
to
it
be a
doesn't-
priority?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be spectacular stuff. Some of the best times we've had at our house is, sitting around. They'll be playing Scrabble, and we're just talking.
Yeah.
It's not big stuff.
It's the mundane. Don't you
Right.
think it's the mundane?
Right.
So- And Mark is mundane.
Exactly.
So when you guys have differences of opinions about things, do you talk about that, or are those just shelved and that you just?
I would say Mark usually recognizes that I'm correct. And he'll often bow to me.
Bow. We have had differences of opinion before. As Joyce mentioned, we've served on a couple boards together, and we've had differences of opinion on that. I don't think that I've ever gotten to a you're completely wrong.
No.
You're out of there, because I do value her perspective. So it's more.
Respectful dissension.
Yeah.
Which I do think you need in this.
Right.
You don't need a bunch of bobbleheads. You
Right.
just need. So if I like it when Mark disagrees with me, he's one of the few people that I'll actually listen to. If he told me something, if I really disagreed with it, but I would actually listen to him explain, because he's earned that right. And so I would listen to him, and I would really take it under advisement. And he's one of the few people that could probably at least begin to change my mind about some things. But I just think, we just also see things differently.
Right.
And so together, two is better than one.
Right.
We have,
Right.
if I have blind spots, you don't have the same ones.
Right.
So, yeah.
And there have been many of those discussions. I mean, we've, after the meeting in the parking lot, talking about, this is a concern, what do you think, and different perspectives.
But the values are the same, like he said.
Right.
So we
Right.
might have different opinions and stuff like
Right.
that. But see, I really would call Mark somebody with integrity. So, and I think he's got a true north in his life, and so that's part of it too. But you earn the right to speak
Right.
into somebody's life like that.
Right. And that goes back to that time issue too,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
I think when you look at a lot of people they want these friendships to become, that you're kind of exemplifying. But I think a lot of young people will look for common interests to bring them together instead of look obviously, like Mark was never going to bring her tax.
Right. Thank you, Jay. I was forced to do this.
I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit how maybe not being competitive with each other in the same field of interest perhaps maybe is a good model for some friendship, because for a lot of young people I see
Yeah.
they're trying to
Right. Right.
I actually, I think that's very, very, I actually saw that online last night when I was doing the research well before last night. Well before last night. But propinquity is you are friends with people that are near you, love the one you're with, and then people that have common interests. That is what happens, especially in middle school and as a young adult. And then what happens as you get older, like Marcus, you realize that you don't want all the commonalities. So actually the complementarity of other people, that is what you seek out the older that you get, because, the sameness, and that's what the research said. So I think that you have to have some common ground, and we certainly did. We had my dad and Ruth
in the college.
yeah, all that stuff. So there was enough to
church.
get us start. Yeah, the church, and so there's enough to get us started, and then, but if it's going to take off, there's got to be something else that goes along with it. But yeah, so that's brilliant, Jay, because that's exactly what the Google Scholar said.
I'm 35 years old. Is it too late for someone like myself to establish a lasting friendship, especially after a lot of people go through stages in their life where they go split, they go their own ways, whether it's somewhere. Is it possible? And how do you start?
I mean, that's online too. But what would you say?
I would say it's absolutely possible. I don't know that, when I was younger, in my 20s and early 30s, I was so consumed with career and making a name for myself and working like crazy hours. I don't know that I had time or focus on friendship. There was a point in life where that sort of changed dramatically. And if you were one of my boys when I was coaching baseball, they heard it all the time from me that things don't make you happy, relationships do. And it became apparent to me that I needed to be investing in my relationships. So I was probably 32, 33, in that range, and started investing more in relationships than in my career. Because that's not going to give you lasting happiness. It's the relationships. I think that the development of those relationships is I think that you can position yourself in places and in circumstances that will allow you opportunities to develop those relationships. And I think places like Northgate help, right? So, for instance, you and I didn't know each other 2 years ago. We know each other now. We have developed a relationship. It's growing. And we have, through that whole IFAST fiasco and troubleshooting that up to the 10 minutes before he got on the plane over in Rwanda, and doing it as a team, we have developed a deeper bond of friendship. Okay? These two people sitting right here in the front row, Dan and Brenda Miller, 10 years ago, I didn't know them. They have been some of the truest friends I've had in my life, and we didn't know each other until I was in my almost 50s.
60s.
But it has, we have handled issues and problems, family, eaten together, traveled together, and developed that friendship. And I think that positioning yourself in the right places helps you do that. So my dearest friends now are at Northgate. 10 years ago, I didn't go to Northgate, right? 10 years ago, I didn't go. So I definitely think that you can do that, even at 35. You're young.
Yeah.
You're way young. Yeah.
Compared to Mark.
Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. No, I would, so couple things is, one is, research again would say what Mark says, at different stages in your life, you're concerned about different things. So starting a family and career is really important in your 20s and 30s. And then what starts to happen is just that. Is my ladder that I'm climbing, is it leaned up against the building that I want it? Do I care about getting to the top of this ladder? And a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people are like, oh, I think that I'm going to invest in the relationships. So there's times in a person's life when they gather friends, and there's times where they don't, and then there's times when they gather again. So high school and college, you gather friends. Then you don't when you're busy raising little kids. You don't gather friends. And then there's another opportunity in your mid-30s, and they know that. And then those relationships last. Because the five, if you get somebody from high school, grade school, high school, somebody from college, but the other three are going to come during your adult life. Right. So I think that it would be, just a little plug. Number one thing that'll keep people out of therapy keep people so they don't come and see me, is a strong social support network. And so I always tell people, if you were going to walk across the high wire, imagine Mark as a trapeze artist, and he's walking across the high wire, how many people do you want holding your safety net below you? I mean, the answer is 4. So do you even have 4 people in your life that they would catch you if you fell? But you also don't want 4 people from the same part of your life. Mm-hmm. So I'm ripping this off from Delia. She always said you need a friend, relative, associate, neighbor. If it's all your relatives and grandpa dies, your support system's wiped out. If it's all associates and you get laid off, So have people from different parts of life, and that goes to what you're talking about. So I have people go to different things, I think that women give to women, and that's in the Bible. Older women should mentor younger women, regular. It's a core thing. So women can give to women in a red way. Men can give to women in a blue way. My counselor friends, they can give to me in a green way. So to have a variety of people. But now here's a question for you guys. Do you know how to make friends? Do you know what it takes to make a friend? Oops. I dropped it.
Is that okay?
Oh, I think it's all right.
Still have her? Okay. Anybody?
What? An open mind, yep. To make friends, you got to be a friend. That's all. That's all you have to do. The things that you'd want other people to do for you, you do it for them. And then when you need it, then they do it for you. So plus in God's economy, you do reap what you sow and stuff. So yeah, so the answer is yes. And more deeper friendships because you know yourself better later in life, midlife.
There's vulnerability to it.
Yeah. Yep. I really, if you come and see me, I think that one of the biggest things you have to do is know yourself, and then be more and more authentic and vulnerable. Like I really love the Velveteen Rabbit and stuff, and that's what you're really trying to get to. I think so. With physical intimacy is the lowest form of intimacy there is, but hey, I hear it's good. So is that what you want me to say, Gloria, in church? That was good? No, you don't want me to say any more, do you? Okay. Then there's emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy is much deeper than physical intimacy, and you need both of those in a marriage. But then on top of that, then there's spiritual intimacy. So the emotional intimacy that you have with friends, again, research would say goes deeper than marital intimacy. Now, with a marital intimacy, you should have physical intimacy and emotional intimacy and the time all invested in stuff like that. But it is, so with, so... Yeah. I don't know what made me go off on that bunny trail.
I don't know either.
I don't know. So, authenticity. So.
You said that you had venison and s'mores. That was a key part of your friendship. Is that the same meal?
Mark feels the need to go out and shoot Bambi.
I do.
Again and again and again and again.
And she occasionally comes over and has Bambi for dinner. And And
Gamey, smushy, and sweet.
sticky.
Yeah. But you do have to sup together.
Yeah.
You know,
We
luckily we
eat-
get to sup on Roos food.
Right. We eat together quite a bit. And we laugh. You know, if I had, if you asked me one of the things that I do most with those 5 friends, and I could name all 5 of those people here, the thing that I do most with them is I eat and I laugh with them. Right? And then there's periods of time in their life when they're down and we cry together, but we eat and laugh a lot together. A lot. And you just develop those friendships. You know that I love food, right? Chocolate chip cookies.
Where did you make those?
Yeah.
They were delish.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you, do you find it's easier for women to make easy?
I think it depends on somebody's person. I tend to get along with older people better because I'm pretty mature. And,
That's questionable.
But I actually get along with men better than I do with women, you know. But there'd be women that would say absolutely not and stuff. And just, you know, we will not belabor this. But, you know, you just get, like, there's just no undercurrent. When that makes Mark a very safe person to be friends with. So no, I like being friends with guys. If you know my top 5, you know, they'd be 2.5 of them would be men. Mm-hmm. Mark being the half. So, but that's different. There'd also be women, and I don't know what guys say.
I think it's hard for guys. If I had to, out of my 5 people, 3 of them are guys, right? So I do have deep relationships with men, but I think it's hard for guys because we have a tendency not to open up to one another about the real stuff, right? And you know, if I had a child who was having marital problems, and I needed some guidance and direction, I wouldn't go to one of my guy friends. I'd probably go right to Joyce and say, Joyce, help me think this through, right? If I wanted to go to a football game, I'd go with my guy friends, and we'd talk about, you know, the guy side of life. But I don't think I think they're different. The relationships are completely different. And I think it's more difficult for guys to have deep relationship with guys. That's just my opinion.
I always make guy clients that are struggling. I make them go, well, I want them to go and seek out somebody, and typically someone older that's further down the road and stuff like that. But then guys do accountability. Women will just do it. You know, Gloria and I are in a book, you know, we'll just do it. But men, I think there has to be a purpose, a reason, you know, and like you said, like the task stuff, you know, that will totally deepen a friendship. Just working, going through deep water together.
Right. Or even like Danny and I working on this pavilion project at the church. I mean, that deepens your relationship. Just being there, building stuff together, or hunting out in the woods. That's one of the reasons why I like to hunt. It's not all about shooting deer. It's about being with the guys, and there is something to that. But there's not I don't get to the depth in the relationship there that I do perhaps with Joyce. You know.
Do you want to talk about the urine, the deer urine?
No.
Okay.
Not the deer urine.
I don't understand the deer urine.
There's so much you don't understand.
I'm really glad that Mark has guy friends and that I don't have to do that.
Yeah. So.
Any other questions or comments?
Have you been showing any of those Facebook posts up there? Okay.
Who's funnier?
So-
Let's do a show of
Well,
hands.
I just want you to notice, though, in the Facebook post, the remarks are fun remarks, but they're not cutting. Well, maybe they're a little cutting.
They're a little
But
cutting.
What's the word that I want? We don't.
Offensive?
They're not offensive.
Oh.
There are no innuendos, and at the end of the day, the people, other than one time, a friend of mine who had just recently became a friend of mine saw one of our posts, and she lit into Joyce and because she thought it was, she was not, Mark is such a nice man.
Yuki. Yuki, Yuki.
But you can tell in our posts that we love each other, right? There's no hatred or
No.
it's
Well, you know what I was going to say? I was really thinking about that. I've never, ever been offended by one of your posts.
Right.
You know, like in my house by myself, I just laugh. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my gosh. Or else I'll be like, that was stupid. You know, like that's much more often my response. Oh, what a moron. Yeah, but no, I never been offended. You never below the belt.
And we also, on Facebook, will say things nice to one another periodically. Usually at birthday times, or like when that article was put in the magazine. I gave credit to Joyce. That would not have happened had she not pushed me. Which one is up there? Oh, that's a particular good.
What does it say?
It's the peacock.
Oh, did you? Oh,
when I
that's
was in Washington.
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice.
Yeah. So
I'm beautiful.
you can tell the tone of the comments.
Yep.
That we're not trying to demean each other to the point where we're hurtful, right? We're just playing with each other, and
Although I'll go to different church, you know, like so I'll go to different churches, and like Doug Cullum will be like, "I'm concerned about your soul." The gas we pass, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty lowbrow for Mark.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still boy humor, you know, still boy humor. Bodily fluids.
Yeah. So, okay. Is it what you thought you were going to hear tonight?
Gloria, did you want us to cover anything else? Okay.
Okay. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.